Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, everyone that is getting ready to tune in. I know I see this one person on now, but to all of you that are getting ready to tune in, grace and peace to all of you. I'm going to wait a few minutes for a few more folks to tune in. Just want to share just a little message today about an experience that had this weekend, and I think that it's important to share this, so hopefully more folks will get on. Either way, I know that later on, those who are not on now, I know they'll be able to do the playback later on. I am aware of that, of course, but I want to see if we get a few more folks on. Wait a couple of minutes to see if we can get just a couple more people, and then we can get right into it. All right. Hey, how's it going? McCutcheon, how's everybody doing? Just trying to get a couple of folks on. Just want to talk to you. Well, since it seems like I got about 3 people on, so to me, now it's 4, so folks are chiming in. I just want to, first of all, I want to preface this particular message, not a sermon, just a message to share with you, by saying that ministry for me, I can't speak for other pastors or other clergy or other ministers or evangelists, but ministry for me goes outside the 4 walls just as much as it is inside the 4 walls. Ministry for me goes out into the highways, to the byways, also to minister to families, especially when you have families that are dealing with a loss, better known as bereaved families, such as this weekend. Met with several families that were bereaved, that suffered losses. And the one thing that I definitely want to convey to you today is to make sure, and I know it seems like it's something that's said all the time, and I apologize if I sound like a broken record, but make sure you love on your loved ones. Make sure you love on your loved ones. Make sure you tell them how much you love them and appreciate them. And if you have a situation with a family member or a loved one, and you can't seem to bring yourself to tell them that you love them because you both had an argument, a disagreement, whatever you want to call it, find a way to squash whatever it is so that you can build together again. Because I'm here to tell you, life is too short. Life is too short. We have to stop playing around and acting like we have tomorrow. You may have your family member or loved one there with you today, and then tomorrow that loved one may be gone. Matter of fact, today that loved one could be gone. Never leave your house without telling your family members or your loved ones that you love them. Never end a conversation without making sure the person that you're on the phone with, especially if it's a loved one, making sure that you let them know that you love them. Because if a person passes away, you don't want the last experience you have with that person to be a bad one. I know there's times and situations where we just can't help what happens. We can't help a situation, being the way it is. But for as much as you're able to help it, and for as much as you're able to do to make sure that the situation ends peacefully, or make sure that your last conversation with that person, with that loved one, ends peacefully. Because I'm telling you, the amount of guilt that people have when a loved one passes away and they realize that the last conversation they had was not a pleasant one, and they never really had a chance to work things out with them or to clear the air or to apologize or whatever the case may be, and then they find out that the person is now deceased and they don't have the opportunity to tell them that they're sorry or they appreciate them or anything like that. So the level of guilt that the person now has to deal with is immeasurable. You know, don't put yourself in that situation. Even if that person may be in the wrong. When, you know, sometimes forgiving, well, not sometimes, all the time, forgiving someone else relieves you. It takes the burden off of you. Forgiving someone else takes the burden off of you. When you forgive somebody, it's not so much for them, but it's for you, to make sure that you free yourself from the bondage or the strain or the stress of the situation that occurred. And so, you know, like I said, in meeting with folks all the time, because that's what ministry is. It's not just standing behind a pulpit, because that's easy to do. It's easy to stand behind a pulpit and have music playing and preach and yelling and hollering at the microphone. That's very easy. I know a lot of people may say it's not, but it is. It's extremely easy, especially when you get used to doing it. But the real work of the ministry, going out into the streets, going into homes, talking to families, helping them get through difficult situations, seeing if they need food on the table, seeing if they need clothes in the house, making sure that they're taken care of. That part of ministry, you don't really see a whole lot of that, because that's the part of the ministry where you have to roll up your sleeves and you have to get out there in the trenches and make sure people are okay. That's why the ministry God gave me is a lot different from a lot of what you may see out here, because I make sure that not only we can't just wait around for folks to come to us. We have to go to the people. Let's say that again. We can't just sit around and wait for the people to come to us. We have to go to the people. We can't just sit comfortably in our churches and in our temples and in our synagogues and wait for the people to come to us. That's not how it works. We have to go to them. You can go to them and go into their house. Like today, I went to a family. Of course, they didn't want me to record in their house, and that's absolutely fine. That's their house. That's their rules. They did not want any filming or anything in their house, and that's fine. But we were able to pray. We sung a few songs together, and it went well. Okay, it went well, and that's ministry. That's also ministry. So, you know, speaking of new generation, speaking of a new time and a new moment, that's what it is. It's about going out to see the people, not waiting for them to come and see you, but going out and ministering to them. Because when 2 or 3 are gathered together, the Most High is in the midst. Wherever you may go, it says, fail not to assemble yourself together. Somewhere, somehow, make sure that you are together with a group of folks like-minded and get together, pray, meditate, read the word, do whatever you have to do together to lift the mood amongst the 3 of you, to make sure that you all feel relieved and feel free. So that's ministry. That's real ministry. Getting out in that street, rolling up your sleeves, and making sure the community around you is good, not just yourself. So I'm going to conclude with that. I have a few more visits to make. As we do house calls, we get around, we do what we have to do. It's not going to change. The person that I am in terms of being an activist, I bring that right into the ministry, and I use that same technique of going in to talk to people, to minister to people. It's the same technique. I'm not going to transform into something different. I'm the same Corey Teague that advocates, the same Corey Teague that fights for the community. I'm the same person. And I use those tools that I learned as an activist, I use those tools in ministry. So I do the same thing. I visit folks' homes. I meet people on the street. We talk. That's ministry. Reaching out to folks. Not about being glorified or standing in a pulpit and having people worship you. Shouldn't be worshiping anybody anyway. But it's about making sure that the people in your community are good. So make sure today, especially when it comes to your loved ones, make sure you don't end this day without telling them you love them. And more importantly, showing them that you love them. Because that's the only way that you're going to be relieved. God forbid if anything happens, you won't have that on your shoulder. God forbid. If anything goes wrong, if any tragedy takes place, you won't have to deal with the guilt of that because you've already cleared yourself by forgiving them, by making things right and making amends. Okay, so God bless you today. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have a wonderful, great week. And we will see you next week. We're getting ready, 14 days to go. New Generation will relaunch, but I can guarantee you it's going to relaunch in a way that folks would have not imagined. But it is a unique way that God gave it to me, and that's how I'm going to share it with you. It's not going to be church as usual. I guarantee you that. But we are going to reach souls, we are going to hit the streets, and we are going to make sure that our community is good. Not going to wait for folks to come to us. We're going to go out there to them. That's the mandate that God placed on my heart years ago, even though there was a time when I kind of walked away from it. But then in a way, I didn't, because I continue to advocate for my community. But now, more specifically, we're going out with the word to talk to folks and also to bring them to where they want to be or need to be. That's ministry. All right? Enjoy the rest of your day. Be blessed, be safe, and I'll see you next week. Peace.